Hello, everyone. A very good evening to all of you, and welcome in the session of motivation. Now, in the last session, as we have already discussed the different types of motivation broadly, the broad categories of motivation, and in last session, we have also discussed about the types of intrinsic motivation. The motivation which comes from within, the motivation which comes from our internal side, with the motivation which may not be having any kind of monetary value. But yes, that is the motivation which helps the people, which makes the people to achieve something in your life. So every person, every individual is motivated by intrinsic motivation. Now, in today's session, we will be discussing about the broad categories of extrinsic motivation, like what are the different types of extrinsic motivation. So as the word says, is extrinsic motivation, and as you can see in the pictures, it says that motivation which we get from the external sources, motivation which we get from the outside sources, and that is known as extrinsic motivation. So now if I talk about extrinsic motivation, what are the different types of motivation which comes in your mind when we are talking about the extrinsic motivation? What are the different types of motivation coming in your mind? So if we talk about types of extrinsic motivation, the first type of extrinsic motivation is the reward-based motivation. Reward-based motivation means, as the name says, that employee is expecting some kind of reward for the work, for the efforts which they have done. They want some monetary reward. It is not just the appreciation, the certificate which they are getting. It is about the reward which they are getting, and that reward motivates them. Now here the question is, if the person is performing well and then if we are giving them the reward, is that the reward based motivation, or before the person performs, as soon as we give them the task and at that same point of time we say that the person who's going to perform the best, the person who's going to deliver the best will be getting some kind of rewards. So what exactly is the reward-based motivation? So if we talk about the reward-based motivation, the reward is always external and substantial as opposed to the intrinsic motivation. This is the first thing that says that reward is something which is always we getting from the external sources. It is nothing which we give to ourselves, which is internal. No, it is not the internal source of motivation. It is something which we are not giving to ourselves. It is something which the external source, the external people are giving to us. So that is known as reward-based motivation. It involves the reward attached to it more than just a mere internal feeling. If there is no incentive, the size of motivation is not seen to be a drive. It is not the internal feelings. You know, when we were talking about the intrinsic motivation, so intrinsic motivation was some kind of internal feeling which we were having that was motivating us. But this reward-based motivation has nothing to do with the internal feeling. Until and unless there are no incentives for that, there is nothing which is been given to the employees, that is not taken as a source of motivation to drive the employees to perform well, to derive the employees to generate good returns. So if we talk about reward based motivation, so it is something which we are getting from the external sources, and along with that, it involves some kind of monetary reward attached to it, not just the feeling of achieving something, not merely the feeling of doing something for the organization. So if there are no incentives which is being given to the employees, it doesn't act as a drive to motivate the employees to achieve something, to work with 100% dedication, increase the productivity, increase best of their efficiency. It's not bought out if there is no such reward attached to the work which they are doing. The issue with this type of motivation are that it doesn't last long. People get used to it. Now, let's say a person who has just entered the organization. For him, let's say you have given the reward once, twice, thrice. So now he has become habitual of it. It has nothing which is now, after some time, which is going to motivate him to give the desired result, to give the effective and the efficient result. So this is the major issue when we are talking about the reward based motivation, that people easily become habitual of this type of motivation, and once they have become habitual, it is very difficult to motivate them with the same type of reward based motivation. So over the time, you have to find out different ways, different rewards which are going to motivate them, because same type of reward is never going to keep them motivated. Reward based motivation can work hand in hand with achievement driven motivation, as the reward can also give a fulfilling sensation of achievement. Yes, it can be, this reward based motivation can go hand in hand, can be given when someone has achieved something. So it can be said that the person who has achieved something will be motivated, will be given the reward, and that act as a reward based motivation. So both the things, achievement motivation and the reward based motivation, both of them can work together, can go hand in hand. A good example is a completion between sales in the workplace to sell a certain amount of good if the reward is money. This means if they have sold a certain amount of good, they will be getting a kind of monetary reward, and that is what is going to motivate them to increase their sale at the workplace, and that is what is known as reward based motivation. Now, the second type of extrinsic motivation is the power based motivation. This is based on the human desire to have power over the people. You might have come across few people in your life who just want to exercise their power. For them, power is money. If they get the power, they think that yes, they are being rewarded for the work which they have done. So for these kind of employees, maybe giving them the monetary rewards may not work as effectively as giving them the power in the organization. Now, the power can be in terms of project head, the power can be in terms of leadership, power can be in terms of being a project, a specific project head. So this is based on the human desire. So there are many people who desire to have the power over other people. They do not want the monetary reward for the efforts, for the work, for the dedication which they have given, but they want to exercise the power. They want to have the power that, yes, this is the power which I am holding. So this is based on the human desire to have power over other people. A good example of power-based motivation is leadership. A leader is a person motivated to lead people. So a leader is a person who is motivated, who's truly motivated to lead the other person. Now, this is the power which you are offering, and this power, the leadership position, is going to act as a source of motivation for him to bring up his efficiency, to increase the productivity and efficiency towards the organization. And along with this, the dedication of the work will also be increased. A great leader will inspire people to overcome challenges and will help them to organize their work. This is again one of the things that a great leader, when you have given them the power-based motivation, so just to prove that yes, you have given us the right authority, we are the deserving candidate, they are going to do their best to overcome all the challenges, and they will also help them to organize. This will also help them to organize their work and their team effectively. They'll take the responsibility for each and every task, and they will lead them. Every time you won't have to come to them and tell them that, okay, this is the responsibility, this is the work which you were supposed to do, this is the part which you have to fulfill. No, they are going to perform all the tasks, they are going to perform all the responsibilities by themselves, by taking the lead. They won't require the person to every time to guide them, to tell them that, okay, this is what you're supposed to do, that is what you're supposed to do. They take the lead themselves, and that is why they are motivated with power-based motivation. Once the people who just require the power, they are the one who always take the leads themselves. Accountability, lead, responsibility, authority, they want all the things, and they do it themselves. They do not need a push from behind to lead the project, to lead the team, to guide the people, to take the responsibility, to take the authority, to do the work. No, everything they do themselves. Power should be in good hands. An incompetent manager can ruin the atmosphere in the team, decrease productivity, or even increase employee turnover. So now here, this point is something which is really very important to understand, that though many people might be there who are motivated by this power-based motivation, but you cannot give every person the power to be the leader, because leaders are the person who are going to increase productivity, create a good atmosphere in the organization, create good atmosphere in the team. And in case if you hire a person who is incompetent manager, who is not a good leader, it can ruin the atmosphere in the team, the entire atmosphere, the entire team, or maybe the entire organization is going to suffer. Because it is very important that the power should always be in the good hands, in the competent person who is capable of taking the power, who is capable of creating a good atmosphere. So this is the second type of motivation, that is the power-based motivation. The third type of motivation is fear-based motivation. Many times you will find the employees who willingly, they do not take the lead. They are not willingly interested in doing the work. They never stand up to do the work. And here comes the role of fear-based motivation. Though the fear-based motivation is not considered as a positive motivation, but yes, for some type of employees, it is required to use this fear-based motivation to make them deliver, to make them productive, to make them efficient. Fear-based motivation is creating the fear in the mind of the employees that if you're not going to perform well, if you're not going to give your efficiency, then you will be either demoted, you might either lose your job, you might be fined. So these are the ways by which they are trying to motivate the people to deliver the best results. So if we talk about fear-based motivation, it is not based on any kind of monetary reward, but it is based on the fear of pain or the awkward feeling. It is just the feeling that is developed, that is built in the mind of the employees so that they can deliver the results. So it has nothing to do with the monetary reward. It is just a feeling which is developed in the mind of the person. Fear-based motivation could involve a negative result to motivate. It usually ends up producing positive. It usually ends up producing positive results. It could involve negative results to motivate the people using this fear-based motivation, but most of the time it is seen that it is usually ending up producing the positive results, because here they are not using this fear-based motivation for the personal willingness, for the personal comfort. Rather, they are using this fear-based motivation so that they can make the employee deliver the best, so that they can let the employees understand their own potential of doing the thing, which is very important to keep the employees motivated, to keep the employees delivered. Many times the employee itself is not aware about their hidden capabilities, about their uh, about their own potential. So this fear-based motivation, which looks to be a negative motivation, but at the end, it usually turns out to be the positive one, giving the positive results from the employees. If the motivation has to do with producing more for the company with fear of consequence use as baseline condition, then fear motivation is being used. So when it is used, when you see that the potential is there with the employee is very potential, he can be more productive, but he's not having any kind of motivated. Neither he is motivated by intrinsic motivation, nor he is motivated by monetary motivation, nor the power motivation. When nothing works, when no other type of motivation works for this type of employee, then they prefer going with the fear-based motivation, where they find that the employee is capable, but he or she is unable to deliver. He or she is not motivated and is not delivering. So they prefer going with the fear-based motivation. So it has everything to do with producing more for the company, and that is the only reason why they prefer going for the fear-based motivation. A good example is trying to be at work on time because your manager has promised to fine latecomers. Now, the new rule by the manager clearly states that anybody that comes late more than once will not just be fined but fired. So earlier, the manager made a rule that everyone need to be on time, and if person is not being on time, he or she will be fired. Though running this rule for a couple of months, he noticed that still the person for whom the rule was fixed, it's hardly affecting them. The person is okay to pay the fine, but he is not ready to come on time. And there is no genuine reason that he is coming late. It's just out of his habit, it's just because of his habit that he is coming late, he's getting late. So what did he do? He just bought a change. He just said that the person now who will be coming late more than once in a week will not just be fined, rather he will be fired from the job. Now the fear started developing in the employee that now if I'm going to be late, I'll be fired from the organization. So that fear will force him to reach office on time, and ultimately the purpose for which the rule was set is being achieved, and that is known as fear-based motivation. Now, after fear-based motivation, the fourth type of motivation we are going to discuss. After fear-based motivation, all the three types of extrinsic motivation which are there, we have already covered. Now we are going to talk about the some type of best motivation for managers, employees, as well as education. Like what are, we have discussed about all the types of motivation, that's all the different types of intrinsic as well as extrinsic motivation. So we will be discussing like how these motivation, which type of motivation is used for employees, which is used for managers, and which is used for these students. Now, first, we are going to talk about the best type of motivation for the employees. What are the types of motivation which are used to motivate the employees? Now, see, each employee is unique. They have their own unique, different motivational sources, goals, identity, personality. So every person is unique in his own personality. You will never find two people who are having the similar personalities or who are absolutely the same. There are no two persons, either in their habit, the background, the way they speak, the things which motivates them, maybe the goal which they have set for themselves. Something is going to be unique in them, and that is why we say that every employee is unique in himself or herself. So employees are motivated by both internal and as well as the external motivation. That is absolutely true. That there are many employees who are motivated by the intrinsic motivation, and there are many employees, a lot of employees who are motivated by the extrinsic motivation. So here when we are talking about the employees, so there are some types of employee motivation that will yield this positivity in employees, that will motivate the employees, that will make the employees more productive. And these types of motivation are reward based motivation. You will find a lot of employees who are motivated by the reward. These are the type of people who are money oriented people. They just want money for each and everything they are doing. See, whenever they are delivering the results, they just prefer that yes, our results, our work should always be rewarded in monetary terms. They want reward for each and everything they have done. Now when I'm talking about each and everything, that means when they deliver something to the organization, when they think that yes, the organization is benefited by the work which they have done, they want the reward for that. That is known as reward based motivation. Next comes is the attitude motivation. Person carries their own style, their own attitude. So this they, the attitude motivation means they just want to create, they just want to bring some change in the society. For them, what they believe is that no matter what others are doing, no matter whether the people are going to laugh on them for whatever they are doing, for them, what matters is what they think, what they believe. So their thinking, their belief means that they just want to bring some positive impact in the society. That things gives them the happiness, and it is not something which they are doing to get something in return from the people, to get something in return from the people around them. No, it is something which they are doing because they think it gives them happiness. They just have one intention, that yes, we just want to bring some positive change in the society, and that is why they are motivated by the attitude motivation. Now, next comes is the fear-based motivation, which we have recently discussed. And yes, for some employees, it is very important that they have this fear-based motivation because they have the capability, but they do not know that what is motivating them. What is that thing which is making them, which will make them to deliver the result? They do not know that thing, and when they do not know that thing, despite of the capabilities, their knowledge, their skills which can benefit the organization, they end up doing nothing for the organization. And that is why it is very important to motivate them, even if that fear based motivation is required. So yes, for employees at times, it is not frequently used. This fear-based motivation is not frequently used, but yes, whenever required, this fear-based motivation is also used in the organization. Next is creative motivation. So creative people are the one who just want to use their creativity, who want to show their creativity. But in case if they do not get the chance to use or to show their creativity, they will end up switching their job, because for them creativity is something which keeps them moving forward, which keeps them motivated, that yes, our creativity is being used, organization is valuing our creativity. Next is achievement motivation. When a person just want to achieve something in their life, and that is known as achievement motivation. Next is competence motivation. This competence motivation is something which we will see at many places, because competence motivation is one which makes the people to be upgraded in the knowledge, because when they see something new learned by the people around them, they just want to learn that thing. For them, learning that thing, competing with that person is the motivation which helps them to enhance their knowledge, to polish their skill, and to develop new skills. So that is known as competence motivation. And last is the power based motivation. So power based, whenever the word power comes, it means being on the leadership position, being on the managerial position which they dream for. And if they get that opportunity, to get that opportunity, it's not that they just want that position. To grab that opportunity, they even do their best. They even deliver their best, that their action proves that yes, we are capable of sitting in the powerful position. But before giving them power, it is very important that you make sure that they truly deserve that position, because a wrong person sitting on the powerful position can spoil the environment of the entire organization. So it is very important that you just put those people on the powerful position which are actually capable of sitting in the powerful position. So yes, these are the 7 types of motivation which you can use to motivate the employees. Now, what are the types of motivation which you can use to motivate the managers? Now, whether it is a group of 5 or 1,000, managers surely need some specific type of motivation and management to function. Now, you might be thinking that what kind of motivation do these managers need? Like, they are already earning a handsome amount, they are already having the power in their hand, they are sitting on a very nice position. But see, no matter whether a person is sitting on a superior position, whether the person is the CEO of the company, no matter what, each and every person need some motivation in their life, and that is known as motivation. Even if an entrepreneur who is earning millions, still he need a source of motivation in his life, so that he can deliver best, so that he can grow. This motivation is something which forces you to grow in your life, and for growing, the motivation is required. Now, if we talk about the managers, so the best way of motivating these managers is reward based motivation. This is again similar to what we give to the employees, the reward based motivation. Then, yes, whosoever is working in the organization, right from the junior level to the CEO of the company, then monetary reward is something which will always motivate the person, which will always keep the motivation of the employee, CEO, manager, leader high. So that always work. Next is the power motivation. So yes, they have that power motivation, and that is why maybe they are on the managerial position. Next comes the achievement motivation, similar to the the thing which motivates the employee. And last comes as the attitude and the competence motivation. So competence motivation remains same. Even now, if I talk about any person who is sitting on any position, competence is something which is inherent. So you'll not say that these are the people who are competent, motivated after into coming into the organization. No, you might even find these employees, like if you're going to check their history, you might even see that these are the people who were having that competence during their educational during their study duration also. You'll see that yes, at that point of time, even if they used to see someone learning something new, someone knowing something new, they would just love to get that knowledge, learn that skill. And that is why we say it is competence motivation. And the last type of motivation which we use for education is, in education platform, there are types of motivation for learners are usually not practical but theoretical. So the best type selected for education are achievement motivation. As you all aware, yes, students are motivated by the achievement motivation. Next is the reward based motivation, if they are getting reward for the work they have done. So that is also something which is going to motivate them. That is the reward based motivation. And last comes the fear based motivation. Now here, what is the fear based motivation? How you are going to relate this fear based motivation to the students? Fear of losing marks, fear of getting less marks, fear of getting a back in the exam, fear of letting your friends achieving something in their life and you are just still on the same page. So these are the fear which are created in the mind of the student, maybe by the teachers, by the parents, or maybe by themselves only. So these fear based motivation are something which motivates the students in the educational line to perform best, to deliver the best. The fear of losing the exam, the fear of getting less marks in the exam is something which makes you sit the whole night and study. The fear of getting less marks, these are the person who just spend hours in preparing for their exam because they just want to grab the first position. They do not want to be the second or third in the class. They just want to be the ranker. That is again the fear of losing the position which you are holding from so long. So there are a lot of fear which is created in the mind of the students, because of which they are forced to deliver the best. So now these are the different types of motivation which we use in educational line for the managers as well as. Now we are going to start off with the next module, that is personality and motivation. Now here we are going to talk about that how personality is related to motivation. But before relating the personality with the motivation, it is very important to know what exactly is personality. What do you think? What is personality? Just think about yourself and identify that if you are talking about personality, then what comes in your mind, that what is personality? So personality is a kind of unique characteristics. Personality is a kind of unique trait, habits, your attitude, which is unique in itself. There are going to be no two person who is carrying the same type of personality. There is going to be some difference in the personality of both the people, and that is what makes your unique personality. We keep on using this word, that let's say a speaker comes in front of us, let's say we meet a new person, let's say a new employee enters the organization, let's say a new leader enters the organization. So we say, wow, what a personality, what a charming personality he or she is. How you get to know that why you are describing that person as a charming personality? What is making that person as a charming personality? What is that? That is the unique characteristics. That is their habit, the attitude, the traits. Overall, combining all these things together make a person having different personality. So if we talk about personality, that what is personality, then personality is a pattern of relatively permanent traits and unique characteristics that gives both consistency and individuality to a person's behavior. So it is something which is consistent, it is something which is permanent in the person and which a person is following. It is not something that a person changes from time to time. A person uh, persistently, continuously follow that thing, and that is known as personality. The term personality refers to the habit, attitude, and other social traits that are characteristics of a given individual behavior. Yes, it is the habit, the attitude, and other social traits that are the characteristics of a given individual behavior. Personality is the sum total of ways in which an individual reacts and interacts to other. Yes, it is again included in the personality that the way a person deals with the situation, a way in which a person talks to other person, the way in which person shows himself, that is again known as personality. So the term personality refers to the sum total of ways in which an individual is going to react or interact with the other person. It is individual difference in characteristic patterns of thinking, feeling, and behavior. It is not just the difference in which the person talks, the person interacts, but it is also the difference in the way the person thinks, the person feels, and the person behave. Thinking, behaving, feeling, everything is unique from person to person. There are no two person who are going to think, who are going to work in exactly the same way, who are going to behave in the same way. A person, maybe let's say there is a conflict going on between a group of persons in a team. Let's say there are two people who are standing, who are facing the conflict. A person is blaming both of them. One person might react aggressively, but the other person might simply walk away from that situation, right? That can also happen. So that is why we say that each individual carries a unique personality. Now in the next session of motivation, we will be discussing first the characteristics, the factors of personality, and then we will see that what is the impact of personality over motivation, how personality is closely related to motivation. What is the link between personality and motivation? That we are going to discuss in the next session of motivation. If you have any doubt till here, please let me know. No doubts? Okay, then we are done with the session. We'll have the next session tomorrow. Bye bye. Have a wonderful day.